Good. Is it still morning? I think it's afternoon now. Good afternoon, everybody. Good day, everybody. Good night, everybody. We're going to talk about consequences, pretty much. That's what we're going to be talking about. Um, we're going to talk about several different things. But first, this all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. And the stream is brought to you by L.I.V.E products. L.I.V.E, live now. We're live now. We got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things. And I don't want to take too much of your time because I'm busy also making drinks while we're doing this. I'm also busy trying to get some stuff done in the house. So I'm gonna be popping it with you guys in a quick way. In a very quick way. So stand by. And here we go. We're in for the ride. Let's get it. So, do you agree that Israel is a rogue state and it is a terrorist state? Do you agree with that? Yes or no? This is what Rana posted up there. Shout out to Rana, who supports Palestine. And what is your response to that? What is your response to that? And I got to say, the state of Israel is founded on terrorism. There were terror groups that terrorized the people of Palestine and the British to form the state of Israel. Now, if you notice, the state of Israel is formed based on the British system. That is, it's a colonial system, just like mine. You have something called the prime minister, or the first minister of the land, and the head of state is known as the president. Now, in Iran, the head or the figurehead of the state is the Ayatollah. Okay? So, they have a president who runs the daily affairs of the state, and the figurehead is the Ayatollah. Just like in England, the prime minister runs the daily affairs of the state, and the king of England is the figurehead. Just like you have the president. Well, the United States is a little different. They they have a functional president. Okay, runs the daily affairs of the country. But we are in a British system, and Israel is also under a British system. Another thing you need to understand is that a lot of Russians, a lot of Americans, a lot of Brits, they moved to Israel and they live in Israel. So Israel is made up. That's why they say Israel's joined at the hip to the United States. And that's why the European countries, such as the UK and Germany and, well, not so much Russia, but Germany, they aid Israel a lot. It's because their people are in Israel. Their people have dual citizenship. Most of the people in Israel are either from Ukraine area, Polish people, okay? And Russian people, American people, British people. This is why Britain will always say Israel is our greatest ally. Because in their colonial project, their people went into that region, Palestine, and settle there. That's how England has vested interest in Israel. Germany, because they were responsible for the Holocaust that happened to the Jews, they always feel obligated. Oh, shit. They always feel obligated to Israel. But it goes deeper than that. I know this sounds crazy, but there are Germans who live in Israel as well. Okay? There are French people from France who live in Israel. Okay? It's very important to understand that and to know that. Which is why Europe consistently supports Israel. Noctis Draven said, I have to ask you guys an extremely hard question. What I'm going to ask you will test your bias, prejudice, and honesty. If you can't answer because the above mentioned are too strong, then I understand. But can you guys name something good that's come from Israel and given to the world? If someone had a gun to your head and you had to, what would you say? I want to test the hearts of my followers to see if I'm fostering hatred or if I'm fostering justice. So, to that question, which is a fair question, I'm going to give you an answer. Israel has given to the world spyware, software technology, the internet, social media, surveillance software, and such like. So yes, Israel has contributed to the world in positive ways. It is not only exclusively a negative entity on the world. It doesn't justify what it's doing by doing so. But there's a reason why, as you will see in a video in a couple minutes, why these governments of different countries keep on saying, Israel is our greatest ally. Israel is our greatest ally. There's a reason why that happens. And it's important to know what that reason is. Right? The CIA, Mossad, MI6, they're all closely interchanged and interlinked. The French intelligence agencies, the German intelligence, they're all interlinked. Israel is a pivotal part of those organizations. And it's something that you must not underestimate, nor can you underrate. Okay? Israel is quite strategic and quite important to the West, not just geometrically, or should I say, in the world, not just in terms of information and inventions and so on, but basically they expose the secret ideology of the West. What is the West about? Israel will show you what they're really about, and why they pass laws, and why they use laws. Their laws in the West are a method of control for average people like you in average countries that don't have the power that they have. You hear the words exceptionalism all the time. They're allowed to commit acts of terrorism. They're allowed to do dehumanizing things, right? And get away with it because they're the powerhouses, you know. And this is the sort of exceptionalism that they promote. They have zero accountability to anyone because we are the architects of this fabric and we are the architects of this world. We don't get to answer to we are gods. We answer to no one, you know. They see themselves as gods. So this is the context in which they say Israel is our greatest ally. Okay? Because they have stakes in the Levant. And then Israel represents them. Israel is the face of them. And how they do it, their frontier to get world control, because when you say the West, you're talking about my country, which is under Western rule. You would say, oh, my country has a government. Yeah, but that government is complicit with anything that the United States says, mostly. They are yes men to the United States. Even though the previous government was less of a yes man, they got a little bit more leeway. The present government we have, which is actually, I think the president of India is supposed to come into my country today. And they're just completely yes men to the American, they're puppet governments. The government that I am under is a puppet government of the United States of America. It's been that way for a while, you know. And so it's very important to understand that distinction. And how these governments sell out their own people and the interest of their people for foreign governments. Okay? Because the politicians are corrupt and they're representative of foreign governments. It's kind of crazy to say, but it's true. So, to knock this Draven's question, listen, you know, Israel has done some good things, and the people in Israel have done some good things for the world. But that's not their motive. Their motive is not to do good things for the world. Their motive is to do good things for the elites of the world, to gain more control over the people, to gather data and information on people, to control people. So they're like a central hub to control people. That's what Israel's really is, to run the world eventually. And also to control geopolitically and otherwise, economically and so on, the way how business is conducted in the world, how things are moved, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And it must not be overlooked what I just said, because it's serious business. Huh. You know, it's serious stuff I'm talking here. All right. So now, your boy is going to make some stuff. I'm busy making drinks, that's why, you know, I'm not all there. So Candace Owens, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that Israel is breaking so many laws and atrocities, and yet very, very few countries. There are countries like Brazil and countries like Spain, South Africa, Colombia, which have sanctioned Israel, and they don't do any business with Israel at present. But most of the countries of the world, including my country, are all still continuing business as usual with Israel. And what's so offensive about this is countries like Turkey, which they give one set of rhetoric, and rhetoric is not policy. They speak a whole bunch of rhetoric. But when it comes down to brass tacks on what needs to really happen, we find out that they're still doing business with Israel. You know? Which is very, you're going to have to excuse me, I'm going to turn on a blender here. Here we go. Yeah. So Candace Owens, people are waking up to this. So now Candace Owens speaks about the fact that we are not Israel, and we don't need, that is Americans, we don't need to go to war for Israel, and we don't need to go into the Iran war. And she argues that Iran and the United States, as we know, are gearing up to attack, Israel and the United States are gearing up to attack Iran. Sorry, my bad. I said it wrong. Okay? And, she is totally against that. She doesn't think the American people should be dragged into that. Of course, a lot of governments worldwide are bought out, and they're puppet governments to be bribed by Israeli lobbyists in different countries. All right? So this is what's going on. So we have leaders who are not representing the people anymore. They're representing their own interests, selling out the people, letting them lose their lives. And I'm telling you, these people do not care about your life. They do not care about you. They will say one thing, but they don't care about you. The government of my country does not care about me. Does not care about the citizens in this country. They don't. And the sooner you can come to terms with that, the better your life will be, because it is one of the most grotesque things I could ever tell you, but it is true. They don't care about you. And the sooner you find out that you do not matter to them in the scheme of things, their donors matter to them, is the sooner you begin to realize what fallacy you're dealing with, that picking one or the other government is not going to help you. Because they don't answer to you, they answer to the business community. Okay? Where the money's coming from. Okay? It's just what it is. The sooner you can come to terms with that, the better it will be for you. Okay? So she stands up and she exposes what they're doing. And they're definitely going to attack Iran again. I was listening to an interview for an Iranian woman, and okay, so I'm blending out something called pumpkin punch. This one's without milk. It's really good. So I just made some of it. You guys can't see what I'm doing, which is, I'm kind of sorry you can't see it, but it's delicious. I'm going to taste it now, just to make sure it's good. Yeah. So, I just say, and I tell people all the time, that your governments most of the governments worldwide do not represent the people. When you find a government that actually represents the people, not business, you hold on to that government. And of course, the world always labels that government bad. Take, for instance, the Iranian government. You know that Iran is a democracy? That they have Congress and all that kind of stuff? They're a democracy. Okay? What's going on? I'm hardly tasting the pumpkin in it. Okay. That's a lot of sauce. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be pumpkin punch. Know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this into something else. Okay? We're going to turn it into. Not sure. Yeah, I'm not the coconut. Yeah. Okay, we're having a little fun. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times I try to explain to people that in this world we live in, it's all about misdirection. It's all about making you feel a certain way. You know? Now, Al Jazeera is able to identify the soldiers, the Israeli soldiers on TikTok who expose themselves for war crimes. And of course, I tagged the Hind Ran Foundation. And, you know, what people don't realize is justice is going to be served very soon. Israel is the biggest cause of child death in 2025. People like her need to be investigated for harboring ideologies that pose a serious threat to our children. This is crazy, and I want you to listen to it.
Start by saying, I do not endorse what Bob Villan said. I think the chant has just helped nobody. It was just a really stupid thing to do. I understand why.
Now, Bob Villan, by the way, was saying death to the IDF, and he explained why. He gave a reason. Death to the IDF because he was saying that the IDF is murdering children and women. And so if they're murdering children and women, then the righteous thing to do is murder them. So that's why he was saying death to the IDF. But he wasn't literally talking about death to the people. He meant death to the organization, which is a terrorist organization. As I said before, the IDF came off of terror groups. The IDF was formed off of terror groups in Israel. And to this day, they terrorize the Palestinians relentlessly. So to say that death to the IDF is an offensive thing, and BBC has tried to censor the gentleman who said that, whereas there is no action being taken against Israel for its war crimes, internationally and otherwise. No action. So the people who are actually killing people and murdering them, you are not willing to sanction them. You are not willing to remove your diplomats from them. You are not willing to issue embargoes on them, trade embargoes on them, but you're willing to shut down a guy's career saying death to the IDF. Okay, let's keep it moving.
But let's just talk about Lisa Nandy here and Keir Starmer and just this incredible selective outrage, which I find impossible to stomach, right? She finds it in her heart to rush to Parliament, to stand up, to question and demand answers from a BBC allowing this streaming of this band, making this chant. She doesn't rush to Parliament to demand answers and concrete action on the actions that we are seeing live streamed to us daily of the IDF who are committing alleged war crimes at the direction of their Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has an arrest warrant out for, again, war crimes.
Good. So that's a great point she makes. Let me just mix this. I was making pumpkin punch, but then I realized pumpkin's not strong enough, so I'm putting sea moss in it. We've got pumpkin action. All right, let's rock and roll on that. Let's see if this is better. It's hot too. That could be another reason. Oh, that sea moss. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I put milk in this. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Damn it. This is very bad. All right, I'm gonna mix it. Anyway. One second. Let me try this. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Okay. All right. A little sugar, a little bit more sugar. That's super thick. Yeah, but I added milk to it, so. All right. Okay, so I need to move this into a pot. I'll move this to a pot. All right, let's hear continue.
Hang on, let's just get. I hear you, and I understand what you're saying completely. And Annunziata, what's your response to that? How can someone be outraged about villain and not outraged about people being shot up in food queues?
It is a very different thing to call for the deaths of our allies' armed forces. That is going against our country's interests, and it is calling for people to be killed.
But the IDF are snipering children in the head.
Whether you like it or not,
Marina, just listen to me.
Israel are one of our allies.
So if they're because they are allies.
Hang on, Marina, just one sec. Let Annunziata say her thing.
There are still hostages being held from a festival not dissimilar to Glastonbury, standing for peace, where the people attending were attacked, killed, raped, and taken hostage.
All right, Marina, let Marina talk.
But I'm sorry, children are paying the price. And are we saying that because they are allies, we have to stand by as they snipe kids in the head?
And Hamas are using the humans in Gaza as human shields. They are using the people.
Do you understand?
Right. So you see, this is crazy. You see how inhuman this asshole is that's coming on here talking about Israel is our greatest ally. We explain the context behind it. In other words, what this minister is coming up and saying is, we endorse what Israel's doing. This is what she's basically saying. They have the right to do what they're doing. They have a right to annihilate people, to ethnically cleanse people, to commit a genocide, to destroy all infrastructure. They have a right to do that. That's what she's basically saying. And the fact that she's even going back to October 7th to justify that, when most of the events that happened in October 7th The devastation and the deaths were caused by the IDF. The same terrorist organization. She has the gall to say that. But this is what we're dealing with.
Hang on, let me show you the latest on it.
If that's your ally, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what your enemy is. I really don't. And they don't just say Israel is our ally. Say it's their greatest ally. That's just sick. It's sickening hearing somebody say something like that. Why would you even acknowledge someone as an ally? Why would you reprimand them? Why would you correct them? Hey. That's not normal. So Bunkers 99 says social psychopathic Auschwitz guards all around us at all times, and she proves it. They'll do anything, say anything for a few shekels. She's not just bribed. It's part of UK policy, German policy, French policy, US policy. That's what you're looking at. It's literally their policy to ensure that Israel succeeds at ethnically cleansing off the rest of Palestine and solve their Palestinian issue, as they say. Solve the ultimate Palestinian problem. It's evil. And these are evil people. Still when we come to terms with that, the better it'll be for all of us. You know? Okay, there's still some clumps of stuff there. Just gonna rinse this out. That's a sea moss with a little bit of pumpkin in it. That's what I'm doing. That's the drink I'm doing. That's good. Okay, still gonna strain this back into this bowl here. Hopefully I have like 6 or 7 of these things. I don't think I have so much. Use a strainer here. Strain this back into the bowl. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. That's hella fun. I'm doing it right now. Got a good amount of milk in that. There we go. All right. Add a little bit more water to this. Stir it up a little bit. I'll do it. see these lobby groups inside of these countries. In the UK, it's Friends of Israel. In United States, it's APAC and it's consortiums. They petition the government and say, hey, you can't be saying this about Israel. You can't be saying that about Israel. Ooh, still a lot of not paid though. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting flavor. And the taste is really going to come out later on. It's not going to come out right now. I can taste the coconut and the nutmeg really strong. I'm not really tasting the sea moss, but it tastes really good nonetheless. All right. So yeah, let's keep it going here. The number of journalists killed in wars. Vietnam was 63 journalists in 20 years. World War II, 67 journalists in 7 years. Gaza, 228 journalists in 642 days. This violates Article 79 of Additional Protocol of Geneva Conventions, but international law clearly doesn't apply to Israel. Israel's been breaking every single law. And it basically what's happening with Palestine is opening everyone's eyes to the fact that international law wasn't designed for certain countries. They're exceptionals, right? It was a racist, white supremacist system. And now we're seeing these racist white supremacists that you see the blatant racism and xenophobia in America right now under Donald Trump. You see the blatant racist and white supremacist system in the UK, in all these other countries, talking about, oh, Europe should be white. Where are all these people coming from? And that's the galvanizing factor we're seeing worldwide. And so it's not surprising that these Europeans in Palestine, they're trying to kick people out again of Palestine, people who actually live in Palestine. So not only are they kicking out immigrants to a country who are not white, they're kicking out immigrants from the United States who are not white. They're kicking out immigrants in Europe that are not white. Or they want these movements to make that happen, to purge Europe of what is not white. This sort of stupid thinking is only completely racist, you know? And I told you already, I'm not one for xenophobia and all of that stuff. I think it's just evil. I think BBS showed us what xenophobia and fear is, and fear mongering. And it's all orchestrated by the elites. The elites orchestrate this, and the stupid people who may have a, be white or whatever, they take up it and they just parrot it. That's how propaganda is spread. Propaganda doesn't have to be true, So that's what's going on. And all this women's rights, all this bullshit that they've been talking about with Iran, they're all lies. Iran is a democratic society. It's a secular, Islamic, Christian, Jewish, and other practicing religion society. Okay? It's very much like the West. And the war that's being waged is always going to be a psychological war. It's a war of opinion. Okay? This will be the greatest history lesson for children 30 years from now, because they're getting to watch how the Germans were allowed to escalate things 100 years ago while others stood idly by trying to figure out which line crossed was the final one. It's not that. It's Europe was encouraging Germany to be the way it was. It's today Europe and the United States, the West, encouraging Israel to be the way it is. And they tried to conceal everything. And now we know why there's racism in the United States, why black people can't get to do certain things in the world. Why there's an agenda to destroy and keep Africa separate, etc., etc. It's all racism. When we talk about systematic racism, we need to understand what it really is. And the reason why they want to allow these not minorities, but these other ethnic groups to rise up to take their own destinies into their hands, like they preach in their own countries, but they don't do, is because if they do have their own autonomy and so on, they'll supersede what these empires are doing. These empires are oppressive to keep the average person from succeeding, to keep you from seeing your dreams, to keep you from, and those who do see their dreams, they buy them out so that they can have them say what they want them to say and carry on a certain narrative. It's bondage straight through. There's no freedom here. So a perfect example of such a thing in a microcosmic way is the entertainment industry, to a much bigger extent, the SnyderVerse. The SnyderVerse is very popular with a lot of people. A lot of people like it. Real Rejects was just now reviewing Batman v Superman. And Tanya was really enjoying Batman v Superman. And the average person enjoyed Batman v Superman, even the theatrical cut. But the elites, the gatekeepers, the so-called critics, the so-called media, right? What we call legacy media, we're saying something totally different. But if you just look with your eyes at the facts, the majority of people who ever reviewed this movie thought it was good. The critics didn't. The industry didn't. The insiders in the industry who are averse to Zack Snyder having a voice and saying something different and coming up creative. And I'm trying to tell you, to this day, Restore the Snyderverse is stronger than ever because the majority of people want the Snyderverse to be restored. But there is a narrative being, propagated over and over and over again and repeated many times to make the average person believe that this is the common consensus. But it's a lie. And it translates to box office. We see the lie exposed when these films flop at the box office, because it shows that the people do not want what the studio is providing. But once you say Snyderverse, all of a sudden there's incredible interest in what Zack Snyder is doing for DC. I was on Facebook and a guy was trying to, say that the Snyderverse will never come back and blah, 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 blah. I listened and he said, I like Zack Snyder's movies though. And I listened to this two-faced hypocrite, try to passive aggressively attack me, a fan who wants to see the Snyderverse return, because he hates Zack Snyder. And he lied. And they keep lying. Their propaganda are lies. Satan is his father, the father of all lies. So you have to understand that and keep it going. James Gunn recently said some really racist things. He's talking about the Indian community and, there's so many of them and blah, 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 blah. Like he's very mad because he has to go and say something good about the Indian community, because the Indian community loves Zack Snyder's Snyderverse. And they hate this marvelized universe that Warner Brothers is pushing for the last 8 fucking years. Anyway, I gotta go. Tony says, should I trust you? This is Tasman. Tasman said, we saw 3 clips during the 30 minutes and a montage. I teared up during the first minute. Everything we saw was perfect. I have no notes. The lore and the world has been created is on another level. This is really a new era of Superman. And the VFX is jaw-dropping. This is Tasman commenting on seeing Superman, the first 30 minutes of Superman in the cinemas. So Tony said, should I trust you? Because here's what Tasman said about The Flash. The Flash is a perfect homage to everything DC and packs one hell of a nostalgic punch. It's an emotional roller coaster, peppered with laughs, incredible action, and surprises. It's easily one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. And guess what? That movie flopped, right? You know, it was Harsh Critics. Shout out to Harsh Critics on YouTube. Harsh Critics came out and said, straight up, he said, don't worry about what legacy media tells you, because most of them work for WB. They're getting paid. They're getting perks for saying good things. Same thing with the critics. If the critics like this movie, you can't bear much stock into it, because most of the time, these are people of the industry. They literally have direct connections to Warner Brothers or Disney or Marvel. So they'll sing whatever tune is necessary because they're getting paid to sing that tune. Sean Castian, he's beginning to realize politicians are not there to care for the people. No, they're there to care for themselves. Sean Castian says they're screwing over their constituents in exchange for trinkets. He said that Mr. Trump told him he could go to the pro shop and pick out a shirt. Tonight, after being held up for months by another broadcaster, you can finally get to see the documentary Gaza, Doctors Under Fire by Basement Films, Ben Peer, Ramiti Navi, Carmitil at 10 p.m. on Channel 4. It's meticulous, compelling, and very powerful. Don't miss it. This is in the UK, so they try to block that film from being seen. And yes, they are attacking, they've been killing doctors like crazy over there. Mr. Wesley, hashtag release the Snyder Cut, says, Lama, yeah, right. James Gunn and his Superman movie is the laughingstock of the internet right now. The SnyderVerse should be the least of your worries. We all know y'all are looking like this today. U.S.-backed Israeli terror group, the IDF, invaded the town of Karkela, Lebanon this morning, rigged a home with explosives, and then detonated it. It's in southern Lebanon, which is crazy. Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist jailed by ICE for 104 days, in his first live interview with the head of Democracy Now! Stem says there's already some great Superman films available in 3D Blu-ray for your information. Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, he said they're very decent post conversions as well. Megan and Godzilla Kong came out at the same time and didn't flop. You're talking about the Suicide Squad. They did amazing. Superman will flop too. I like Snyder King, lol. Jurassic World Rebirth is overperforming at the box office. So Jurassic World Rebirth started off at 127 million, and worldwide is now at 250 million. That's the opening of that movie. While historians reflect on Trump's presidency, cruelty will be the word's most often used to define it. Millions of people will lose health coverage and become uninsured under the Republican health agenda. And look at the numbers right there. So again, America doesn't care about its own people. Israel doesn't care about its own citizens, right? The citizens are trying to flee to other countries, and they're blocking them from fleeing. They won't let them access the Ben Gurion airport. Right? Instead, they're bringing in warplanes, U.S. warplanes into the Ben Gurion airport. That crazy? So that's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Hold on a second. I just need to bottle this stuff out, and then I'll step up to other things. Some peanut punch to do and some other stuff. I am so tired. I should be, because it's going for the last couple of days. It's nonstop work. You know? Alright, I have 8 bottles here. Start loading these bad boys up. Some of these will go with me. It's almost 3 o'clock already. So the day is just moving. It's 2 something right now. Load this up. I also have peanut punch to do. There we go. This is a mixture of pumpkin punch and sea moss. I don't know. I don't think I have any more peanut punch. I think it's solo cold by peanut punch. I think it covers. That's the way it goes. And the world keeps turning, ladies and gentlemen. Does DCU Clark interact with any usual Superman cast aside from Lewis and his parents? And of course, throughout Man of Steel, the guy gives some examples here. So this is Pete Ross interacting with him. You have Lana Lane interacting with him. I mean, we could just go on and on and on here.
What's on your mind?
You got the priest guy who was the bully.
I don't know where to start. Wherever you want.
I think that
It appeared last night.
a lot of times the people who are trying to criticize Man of Steel, they're executives with the company or people who work for Warner Brothers. Because you get the same stupid questions coming up time and time again. And it just sounds like these people don't have no brain. So it's either bots or it's executives. Casey Blood's probably busy at it all the time, making multiple accounts.
What does your gut
Stuff
tell
like
you?
that.
So I can't be trusted.
And it's so retarded, in my opinion. To see them do something like that. You have to stoop so low to try to, make something out of nothing, But it is what it is.
Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith first.
It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Trust part comes later.
Okay. I gotta go out there and get some stuff, So I'm trying to get that done. That's good. This is gonna be unique because this is a mix here. A little bit of pumpkin and some sea moss. And I got some peanut punch. Then I might do a peanut molasses punch. You'd be like, dude, you're just doing all kind of things. I'll be like, yeah. Sometimes that's how I feel, Yeah, this is good. Once it gets cold, it's gonna taste real good. All right, let me show you some other stuff here. So this is the
Israel has been killing the very people trying to keep the healthcare system alive, its doctors and medics, despite hospitals and healthcare workers being protected under international law. As Israel has bombed Gaza, hundreds of Palestinian doctors and medics have refused to leave their hospitals.
We are in the theater, in the operating room. Full darkness, no water, no electricity. But we have a hero, surgeons in Gaza.
Israel claims Hamas uses hospitals as part of its military strategy. Hundreds of medics have been killed. Hundreds have been detained. Many of them have been forcibly disappeared. Our Palestinian team on the ground have gathered testimony from health workers and their families.
المهم علقوني في قلب زي المعلقين هذول كلهم معلقين علقني كله بنزف دم.
And Israeli whistleblowers have told us they witnessed Palestinian prisoners being tortured and that some Israeli medics are complicit.
I don't even think that in the Israeli society, there is a need for cover-up these days. You can do almost whatever you want when it comes to Gazans.
It's just so disgusting, isn't it? So you can also see this on Zatel, which is Zatel is covering it, so they can't keep it. They can't keep it hidden. You see, they're trying to hide all this information. And Israel doesn't want journalists going into those areas because the war crimes will become available to the world. They're trying to hide a lot of stuff. But they lost the battle a long time ago. The battle of opinion. It's gone. They're never going to get it back. They're seen as the world's Hitler, the world's Nazis. And the people living in Israel, that's why they're leaving. You know, because we don't know how long Israel as a country will remain a country. You know, I wish Iran had kept on bombarding them. So they would have to disband the whole state, but that didn't happen. You know? It's like when they say, Israel's a smaller country the size of New Jersey. I'm like, Palestine's a fucking small country the size of New Jersey. What the fuck are you talking about? Palestine is even smaller than Israel right now. You know? So, you know, wicked people, man. Evil, wicked people, man. You know? Sugar that up. You know? I'm gonna do some peanut punch right now. Nutmeg. Last nutmeg there. Cinnamon. Nutmeg in there. Some vanilla essence. Nutmeg. Be a little messy. A little messy. I'll sleep about it. Nutmeg sometimes is a little too pronounced. Too much nutmeg. Should do it right there. Oh yeah, this is a big thing of peanut butter. That's right. All right, there you go. Nice big old scoop of peanut butter there. One more big old scoop. That's it. All right. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Chop, chop, chop. Chatter, chatter, chatter. Let's go, baby. Let's go. That's it. All right. Got a spoon somewhere? No. I have a spoon, it's not a problem. No, I'm not tripping, but I don't think you guys. There you go. That's good. All right. do, add some water. Alright, just use like 500, 600 ml. There you go. Put that down. Line them up. There you go. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck? It's already choked up something. Oh, okay. It's just too clumpy. Alright, go ahead. Shoot free up. Got too much stuff out of it. It's pretty thick. Oh, it's super thick. Super thick. Good. You can smell the strength of the peanut punch in there. Oh, yeah. Super thick. Super thick. Okay. Dial it down a little bit. That's really good. Yeah, super good. Super good. Let's add a little bit more. Alright, so we'll get some peanut punch without milk. Add a little more. That's good. Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm just gonna swirl it a little bit and then toss it here. It's mostly liquid. Okay, 100% liquid. Great without milk. Ooh, all right. This is it without milk right here. without milk. That over there. When I'm far from home, when brother I will hear you call. Oh, and the sun is falling down on you. There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do. So this is peanut punch without milk. Take 1 and 2. Without milk, that's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you are lactose intolerant, I got peanut punch without milk, man. That's what we do. From our L.I.V.E products. That's what we do, baby. That's what we do. I say when I'm far from home, oh brother, you'll hear you call. Oh, and the sun is falling down on you. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Yeah. Oh, brother, I will hear you call. Oh, if the sky is falling down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. No, if the sun is coming down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Oh, if the sun is coming down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. If I'm far from home, well, brother, I will hear you call. Oh, if the sun is coming down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Oh, if the sky is falling down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Yeah. There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do. And if I'm far from home, well, brother, I'll hear you call. Oh, and the sun is falling down on you. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. If I were to lose it all, well, brother, I will hear you call. Oh, if the sun is if the sky is falling down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. And if I'm far from home, well, brother, I will hear you call. Oh, if the sky is falling down. on you. There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do. If I were to live it all, well, brother, I will hear you call. Oh, if the sun is falling down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Hey, sister, there's an endless road to reach this day. And oh, if the sky is falling down on you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Do you truly believe that, brothers and sisters? Or do you believe that it's just a whole hunk of bullshit? Because we have to go the extra mile for our Palestinian brethren. And by doing so, we actually go the extra mile for ourselves. Just one country you cannot criticize. Previously, he said kill the Queen, dig up Maggie, which would be the Prime Minister of the UK. Burn Britannia, nothing happened. But the moment he spoke about Israel, death to the IDF, death to the IDF. The moment he said that, his visa was canceled. He was dropped by his agency, U.S. tour canceled, police involved. Who is in control, people? Bob Vila. Bob Vila almost sounds like Bob Dylan. I mean, listen to this.
Single person in power. I think it's now become abundantly clear who controls the world. Because Bob Dylan, a member of an English punk rap duo, just lost everything in less than 24 hours. His talent agency, gone. Visa, revoked. Their U.S. tour, canceled. Why? Because during a performance at Glastonbury, he had the gall to say these words. Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Now, first off, I just want to point out that the crowd was chanting along, so that says something. But whether you agree with the chant or not, and whether you think it's fair game or hate speech, that's not really the point of this video. Point is, Bob Dylan has been spewing this kind of anti-establishment, anti-British venom for years, and not a single person in power batted an eye. Because these are all direct quotes uttered by Dylan in the past. Quote, kill Queen, burn Britannia, dig up Maggie, referring to the late Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. I wipe my arse with the UK flag, then spit on the crown. Give Churchill's statue a rope, see if it floats. I mean, this guy has said some of the most vile and hateful things about some of the most powerful and revered figures in Britain. And the reaction from the UK elite? That's right, crickets. Not a show canceled, not a revoked visa, not a dropped contract. But the moment he criticizes Israel, even just once, his entire professional life is torched in a matter of 24 hours. And look, you don't have to like Bob Dylan. You don't have to like his music. You don't have to like what his political stances are. This isn't really a defense of him. But let's get one thing straight. Okay? Famous quote, if you want to know who rules over you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Because this wasn't just some random overreaction. This is what happens when you criticize the most pampered military force on the planet, backed by one of the most powerful lobbying machines in the entire world. Let's start with the U.S. In 2024, AIPAC spent over $100 million to defeat anyone in Congress who dare criticize Israel. This includes going after Jewish members of Congress who they deem as lacking sufficient support for Israel. You ever wonder why criticizing Israel feels more dangerous than criticizing the U.S. government itself? Yeah, there's a reason for that. But it's not just here in America. They have the same lobbying apparatus across the world, including the UK.
Why Britain is so supportive of Israel is something that you and I have done a lot of work on, which is the extent of the Israel lobby in the UK. You know, where large numbers of Conservative MPs, Labour MPs have been paid by Israel to go to visit Israel. And there's no doubt that Israel exercises an influence over British foreign policy making, sort of way beyond probably any other state.
I mean, is it not bizarre that in the UK, you can burn the Union Jack, curse the crown, and still get booked on national TV? And same in the US, you can denigrate the flag, you can criticize Trump, Biden, whoever you want, but the moment you criticize Israel, you're branded a heretic and banished from society.
Death to the IDF. That's right. He's a punk man. He gonna say something like that. That's totally in Punk's character to do that. Be a rebel. So he hasn't done anything out of his character. You know. So much for freedom of speech. But if you're worshiping Satan, you're okay. If you're pushing for lesbian and gay rights, you're okay. If you're a pedophile in Hollywood, that's okay. They're not coming after you. But for saying death to the IDF, death to the IDF, they come after you. That's some messed up shit. Especially given the fact that the IDF really deserves to be disbanded. It really deserves to end. It's a terrorist organization that's become officialized into an army. And all they do is terrorist operations with Mossad. So death to the IDF is exactly what is necessary. It's not controversial at all. When you think about it. Up is down and down is up, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? That's how messed up this place is. Meanwhile, the same IDF that he started saying death to the IDF, they're literally administering death unto the Palestinians right now. They bombed another place. These fuckers. Campaign of death is going on in Lebanon. They bombed Lebanon. And they're also bombing Gaza. Still. Right. And the West, I guess you're proud of. This is your boy. It's the one you're backing. This is the one you don't want anybody to say anything about. You're trying to be a Gestapo. You're trying to silence people who are speaking out against this. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to just intensify. Because people will be like, what kind of fucking shit is this? You know? There's something else I want to do, but I don't have time for it, so that's it for me right there. Yeah, guys, I'm glad you were able to be with me while we were doing this stream. I was busy making drinks. That's why I'm not on here, just kind of going. Listen to this.
Fuck Keir Starmer. Fuck Keir Starmer. Fuck Keir Starmer. Fuck Keir Starmer. Well, that was the chant at Glastonbury yesterday. A beautiful demonstration of epizeuxis, the ancient rhetorical device where you repeat a word or phrase immediately in rapid succession, making your point with power, punch, persistence. Margaret Thatcher used episuxes when she told the European Union no, no, no. Tony Blair used episuxes when he said his priorities were education, education, education. Episuxes appears whenever people want to express passion. You get it at football, England, England, England. In pop music, Amy Winehouse, no, no, no. And of course in porn, yeah, yeah, yeah. Keir Starmer gave a speech in 2023 saying he wanted young people to be more confident to find their voice. So I'm sure he'll have been delighted to hear those lovely young voices at Glastonbury. I'm Simon Langster, speechwriter, TEDx speaker, author. Like, comment, share, and come on, Glasto. More, more, more.
Oh my God. It's so funny. All right, here comes OnlyFans and Pornhub.
Be understood. The largest donor to AIPAC is a guy named Leonid Radvensky. He's the owner of OnlyFans. This needs to be understood. The people consuming pornographic content from OnlyFans are not only destroying themselves, but without even knowing, they're funding the genocide of women and children in Gaza, funding wars in the Middle East, and funding Israeli control of American congressmen and the control of the US president. People need to think about that before they go on that site. The large.
Fuck Netanyahu! Fuck the IDF! Free, free! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Israel, you can lie! You committed genocide!
Protesting this shit. Meanwhile, our governments are so quiet about it. It's some bullshit. Keep fighting on, people. Listen, I'm 100% behind you guys. You know that. I gotta go and work. I'm gonna see you guys later. Peace.